Just don't do anything I would do. And definitely don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Spider-Man Homecoming is directed by Jon Watts and stars Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr., Marissa Tomei and Michael Keaton. This is the definitive Spider-Man movie I never knew I wanted. I will admit that I was a bit jaded with the Spider-Man movies after The Amazing Spider-Man 2, so when I heard there was a new one coming from Marvel, I was hopeful but not particularly excited. However, when Captain America Civil War rolled around, I was so impressed with Tom Holland. Then all the trailers for Homecoming came out and I was officially excited for this movie and I was officially on board for this new Spider-Man series that's going to be going on within the MCU. Just like Captain America Civil War, Tom Holland is absolutely fantastic as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. As Peter Parker, he is a believable high school nerdy student who is doing his best. Then as Spider-Man, he is super fun and energetic and really has a comedic edge to him, which really does nail the character tropes of Spider-Man. Speaking of comedy, this movie is hilarious. I was laughing the entire time. Spider-Man as a character is supposed to be funny, and I can say that they really did nail the humour here. I would even go as far as saying that this movie is funnier than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is quite a bold statement. It was also very self-aware, which was great to see, and I really enjoyed the humour on the whole. Peter's friend Ned was also a good addition. He finds out very early on that Peter is Spider-Man, and that leads to a lot of jokes and situations that are very funny. That is not a spoiler, that is in the trailer. Also, Jon Favreau returns as Happy Hogan, and he was the best he's ever been in the MCU in Homecoming. Now let's talk about the Vulture. The Vulture in the comics is a pretty silly character. However, in Homecoming he is represented in a realistic and believable way. He is also given a fair bit of development which allows you to actually understand why he does what he does. Michael Keaton was perfect as Adrian Toomes, and I think he may be my favourite MCU villain. I mean, I love Michael Keaton, he's actually one of my favourite actors, and seeing him as the Vulture was not only a perfect casting, but it was just, he has such a good screen presence that it's just fantastic. One of the biggest worries surrounding this movie is that it would be the Iron Man show, and I can gladly say that this is most definitely a Spider-Man movie. They use Tony Stark fairly sparsely, but when him and Peter are on screen together it is always funny, but also important to the development of Peter as a hero and how he can develop to become a better version of himself and a better version of Spider-Man. They also got the high school aspect of this right. It really does feel like a legit high school movie, and this is mostly down to Tom Holland. But besides that, it works well because Peter is a high school student and is dealing with high school problems like dating, homework and social life, etc. This makes it extremely realistic, relatable and believable. I do have one major complaint with this movie. They did a lot of changing to characters which was not necessary at all, like Zendaya's character of Michelle or the character of the Shocker. But I am mostly talking about Flash Thompson. They went in a completely different direction with Flash and I wasn't a big fan, as it made the character kind of redundant and kind of pointless, which completely kind of demeans Flash of his character and title, which I wasn't really a fan of, as Flash is a pretty important character in Spider-Man's history. Overall, I really liked Spider-Man Homecoming. It is the perfect representation of what a Spider-Man movie should be. It had great acting and a really fun vibe surrounding it, which was great, as well as a hinting of what's to come for the future of Spider-Man within the MCU. However, I felt there was a lot of changes to be made, which were pointless and removed some of the legacy around the characters, which I didn't really appreciate as a fan of the characters. I give Spider-Man Homecoming an A-.